Hi guys, welcome back to Behind the Screen. As always, I'm Dave, this is Jim, that's Crystal, and we're going to be continuing our dungeon crawl series where we make a dungeon, all the bare bones you need and the essentials, and break down a lot of the details, your big bad, where it is, why it's there, who did it, who made it, and just your general, you can take this framework and run a quick dungeon crawl with a few friends. This is our 5th episode of the series, so if you haven't seen the other 4, please, by all means, go back and check them out. That way you're caught up to date. Today's episode is going to be on the ecology and features of the dungeons, so just the lay of the land and what we think would be cool to have in there. We're going to jump right into it with Jim giving off a couple bit of explanations.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about mostly, it's essentially the ecology and the features and the layout of this dungeon. And if you don't know what the ecology of a dungeon is, it is the creatures that live within it, it's the habitat, it's the environment, it's all these things. For example, in the wilderness, it's essentially the food chain.
Yeah, your flora and fauna.
Yeah.
The biome, as it were,
Yeah,
of
the
this
biome.
kind of
That's a perfect
hard to
example.
breathe. Is it clammy? Is it hot? Is it dark? Is it echoey? Is it all stone? Is there wood? What things are alive in here? What things are dead in here? Are there, the basic layouts of what might be inside this dungeon?
I think we'll come back to ecology a little as far as creatures that may be there.
Sure.
Because we need to kind of determine what's really kind of in this maze dungeon that is designed to keep something in and keep you out.
Yeah.
I think really plays mind tricks as far as I've really pictured like the temple from AVP.
Sure.
Where it's constantly shifting.
Sure.
Or like I can't remember, I think it's the Minotaur's Maze from Clash of the Titans.
Yep.
So, first off, the walls. Some dungeons have walls of masonry, others have solid rock. There are, things that are rough, chiseled. Is it designed or is it like a natural occurrence?
I think, given the nature of the history of this place, that these walls would be magically made by stone. Like we were talking about in one of the other videos where it's like encased in like runes all over the floors and the walls, meant to keep people out with that one thing. And I think that it'd be just lots of stone and maybe even like really dense bone or hide being on the back.
I think giving it all the same look, no, like you really have no idea where you're at.
Yeah.
Just because of it all looks the same. Like
I mean,
I swear we took 2 rights and a left and we go back that way and we're nowhere near where we started.
Then I would definitely stay with stone.
Yeah.
And then
the same.
I like the idea of the runes. Now, are you thinking rune here, rune here, rune here, rune here, or are you thinking something along the lines? The 2 examples that come to my mind is maybe like what you might see in like a movie where the madman is written on the walls and it's just from top to bottom of just these just gibberish, but just runes. The other example for more like concrete is in the first Saw, where the man was in the room with the candle, and the code to the safe that was the key to his release was written on the walls, and it's just numbers after numbers all over the walls. Something like that where it's just everywhere. These runes are just literally covering the place.
Honestly, my first thought would be like just in the middle of the floor, in the middle of the wall, in the middle of the ceiling. So one line on each side, and it's just continuous, straight.
Okay.
Runes. Now, if the players don't know the language that the rune is in, they can't really decipher it. They might be able to look, okay, this one's different, but eventually you're going to repeat.
Right.
So it's not guaranteed like this is the way out because you've got one leading between your legs, one on either side, and one leading above you on the ceiling. Since this is all encased in, that way there's a little bit of light coming from it.
Right.
And
so they're just slightly glowing. It's enough to give dim light.
Yes, but there's also the possibility that maybe for some reason these runes turn off.
Right. That's true.
They try to break down a wall, something happens.
Yeah.
You damage these runes for some reason, something can happen. But this way, it's not they're encased in total pitch black darkness, because if nobody rolled dark vision or they have a torch, at least there's something. But it's not enough to change their directions.
Right.
Or be like, this is the clear way to go. Maybe it's a clear direction to go to get to the center. And they find the big bad guy, but then they turn off. Everything changes now. It's just a race to find your way out.
Right. That's kind of interesting. Maybe it's kind of like a trap. Maybe even not so much getting to the center, but if you get close, don't let the players know they're getting close. But if they're getting close, switch everything off.
Maybe that's how they trapped in the bad guy.
Maybe.
He gets to the center, all the runes cut off, and now everything's a nightmare, because now it's all which way do you go.
Right. So what turns them on when the players get there, or is it still pitch black?
I think they're on now, but it's more so maybe it's only on around it, but not on the center. We had also talked about like that magical MacGuffin, like that necklace or something like that. He puts it on, he can't leave anymore until those runes go out.
Right. Or if you maybe it's even something along the lines of the runes are fine, like they're on, but the key that he wears, this item that makes him weak, literally shifts the dungeon around him, so he cannot get. It always leads him back to the center.
Maybe, or if we stick to the on-off situation, the runes only turn on as people pass by them. So if they stay in one spot, there's 4 sections of runes.
Right.
As they take 5 foot forward, that rune behind them, all of those sections turn off. Another one turns on.
Right.
And it just always shows where they're going. So now they can't see it unless it's on.
Right. Yeah.
It also leads to possibly splitting the party. Like now we do have to figure out where the different runes are.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it just depends on your play style, how you want to kind of run that. If you have some different ideas, put it in the comments below.
Yeah.
And let us know how you might run these runes, or if you even use runes at all.
Exactly. You may not even do it that way.
Spread them out.
Yeah, you can just spread them out.
Make them look room by room for runes.
Yeah.
And it makes a message, like you were talking about before, where they have to really explore this dungeon.
And if they don't know what
get
it is,
together,
then they're screwed.
Then they have to take the time to solve the puzzle as far as what order do these runes go in. Do they make any kind of sense? Can we translate them?
Yeah.
And if
If
they
we
don't
can't
know the
translate,
language, you're screwed. You're in there
Then you
forever.
just guess.
and then you just guess. It says ball.
A lot. What do you mean? Well, that one's ball. Okay, but what about that one? That one's also ball.
Just spelled different.
Different dialects.
Yeah, different dialects. The next thing is doors.
Okay.
Now, I think that, it's kind of a go-to. I don't picture doors. Do y'all picture doors?
I think that there should be some.
Okay.
Like, even if it's secret doors.
Gotcha.
But I think that there should be, you have to have some rooms of purpose other than just twists and turns, dead end.
Right.
I think that that's the obvious given. But there should be places where the party can rest. Or hide.
Okay.
Like secret passages.
Not necessarily, but if they can bar a door and get in a room, it gives them a little place where they can take time to rest.
Yeah.
They can bar the door, take watch, and stuff like that, but they don't have to worry about someone coming from any direction that they happen
Because they're
to be.
in one room.
And they're all there, and if they do split up, they can have that central hub other than the entrance to the maze, because they're not going to know where that is anymore.
And if they can even find their way back to that central hub.
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean,
Having little rooms peppered here or there with doors,
Could
I
have
doesn't
bad
think
rooms, too.
hurt. No, of course. Yeah, obviously, like no a door leading somewhere does not automatically mean you're safe. It just means that this is a place.
possibility.
That's
Yeah.
It's something that's sectioned off that
Right.
you can easily get to, whether it be locked or not locked, but you can get in and out without
Right,
breaking
which
your
kind
brain.
of which goes to it. Is it stuck? Is there a reason that it's stuck?
Yeah.
Is it locked? Is it barred?
Mm-hmm.
Or like maybe you kind of mentioned the secret passage. Is it a secret door?
Mm-hmm.
But then you don't have to think fully into it. It's just how I prep stuff is I delve super deep into things. It's like, why would they need to make a secret door in this place?
You could
Unless,
always just
unless it's one of those things that it's secret as far as solid wall.
Yep.
We're stopping here to talk. And I guess maybe because we stood in one place for too long, something needs to happen. One of these sections of the wall slide down, and it's an entrance into a room.
Yep.
Another thought process that rolls to my mind as far as the secret door goes, with the maze being difficult as it is and people getting turned around, they may keep going back to the same dead end or another dead end, but that dead end happens to be a shortcut. They roll a high enough perception check, you hit a button, you press a stone in, or you step on something, or you by chance cast the right spell just by mistake, like, oh, I want to cast light on something in here. Or
Right.
they move something or do something. One of them's cut. It could be blood activated. And they rest on the wall and slab comes down. Little room, possible treasure. Or exit, ladder, staircase, whatever. Just another thing.
Yeah, if you want to add multiple layers to this dungeon, you know, give them some kind of staircase or a ladder. Or you just add like the fire pole. Just woo!
Do not try that at home, although everyone probably would love to. I know I would.
Yeah.
You shimmy up and shimmy down.
I don't know. I was about to say I don't know about shimmying up.
Hey, you don't know. You could.
Okay, so you go out to a street lamp and you shimmy up that pole, the metal ones, and just try.
Well, they didn't say me.
Disclaimer, she never says herself.
Alright, so I think one of the next things is air quality in this dungeon.
Sure.
And I saw it earlier, and I was kind of thinking, what I think would be cool is you enter the dungeon, it's just like outside. The further in you go, the more stale, the more harsh the air becomes, just because it's, to me, it's almost flavored like the air even gets lost in here.
Yeah.
So this air that you're finding, or that you're breathing in, is just been here for however long. There's no breeze or anything, so it's just stagnant air.
Yes, I mean, gradually degrading air quality is a big thing. It also stands to reason that if these people don't find a way to clear it out, like in another game we did where the air quality was like poison, over time it builds up. So you have to find ways to get fresh air or clean it out or clear out some of this stagnant air, on top of the fact that it's going to be in a graveyard, or the entrance is a graveyard, and this graveyard's on the back of a massive beast. You're now assuming you're going inside of this thing.
Yes.
Yep.
May not be the best of environments, so definitely degrading air quality as you go. There might be, again with those doors, there might be little rooms where there's fresh air pumping in. There's a hole in the ceiling that they can't reach, or little cracks, and you can get a breeze.
Yeah.
So again, having those little hidey hole rooms, although not necessarily always the case for mazes, but having these little accessible rooms are great places to rest, great places to regroup, rethink, plan, kind of go over strategy.
Yep.
And get away from that.
I would say that if you plan on doing something like the cracks, you know how players never do what you're going to expect. You know, you think that and they're going to be like, oh, yay, fresh air.
Nope.
First thing that comes to my mind, just because I've used it before, is gaseous form.
Yep.
They can slip through a crack.
Yep.
Think about things that they might be able to do. Look at their spells, look at what the magic items they have, whatever. And kind of think of some possibilities. Because if a player's like, oh, I'm just going to turn gaseous form and I'm going to fly out. You know, you could always just do it as simple as, you know, you're 7,000 feet underground or something like that.
Exactly.
Crazy amount. Like, you're not going to be able to get up without dying.
At the same time, I don't think gaseous form lets you fly.
It does.
It does?
Ooh. You have a fly speed of 10, but if you stop within a solid object,
You take damage.
You take damage.
Now, can a strong breeze
Yes.
spread you? So maybe it's a lot of air.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Huh. That's a good idea. Maybe it's a lot of air, you know. Maybe that's almost like a defense mechanism for it. There's fresh air coming in. Maybe it's not a super strong pulse until you try and then you get pushed back, and maybe you even get solidified again. And then you take some bludgeoning damage from falling. Maybe it's a super high ceiling too. And then you got to be like, well, what if something happens and I get up there? There's a couple of ways you could deal with that. So.
This is a little longer. It's going to be a 2-part episode, so we'll be right back. back to Behind the Screen with our Ecology and Features portion of the Dungeon Crawl series. We last left off just talking about different air qualities, and like we went through doors, walls, and all that stuff like that, and we were kind of jumping on tangent of being able to try to escape through cracks in the walls due to fresh air qualities or something like that. We're just going to continue forward and keep on going. We only have a few bits left to cover as far as topics in this section, so over to Jim.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to look at what kind of sounds are in this maze.
Sure.
Crazy sounds.
I was actually thinking that, like, what if it's at certain points in time, like there are, like every hour, there's this like high-pitched scream or bestial scream or something that prevents
That's
sleep.
what I was thinking.
Then you're going to start
Somebody
adding levels
screaming.
of exhaustion. You give somebody, make them like a wisdom save, otherwise you can't sleep.
Oof, that'd be rough.
Somebody screaming. Like,
Yeah, so
somebody-
you know, that would really be rough, especially if you have them down there for X amount of days.
Yeah, that's...
You do some time skips, like okay, you do the first 30 minutes you're in this dungeon in real life, and you're okay, cool. Now find a place to rest. All right, somebody roll me a d4. Y'all been wandering around. Nothing y'all haven't been able to find your way for 3 days. You're doing a jump 3 days forward, and you're still in this dungeon.
Well, not even
You're
that.
exhausted. You can't sleep.
Let
because
them
of the
lose
screams
track
and
of time.
Stuff.
Yeah.
There's no means to figure out time. How long have you been in there? You may have a good idea when you first go in, but as you start to progress this, who the hell
You-
knows?
And
Losing your
that's an
mind.
actual fact in real life, is if you don't have access to clocks, or even if you have access to clocks, if you don't have access to the outside and being able to see the sunlight and the moon, you don't know what time it is. You don't know how many days have passed.
Sensory deprivation's a bitch.
Yeah. And it's a real thing that you can throw into your game, and it could really mess with PCs and players.
Also, touching on base with sounds. Again, going off of what we just already rolled out, that this is on the back, or technically on the back inside of this massive beast, you're going to hear muscles moving, rumbling throughout the dungeon at certain points.
Heartbeat.
Heartbeats, breathing, all those things that really bring up the tension, because is it alive, is it dead? That could also be where your fresh air is coming through.
I was about to say, yeah,
Down
maybe
those
some of
cracks.
that. So maybe that fresh air might be kind of fresher than definitely what's down there, but it's also hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In that room where that fresh air is, it's going to be hotter.
Yeah. You could have the rush of blood running through the walls, so the walls are hot.
Yeah. That would actually be kind of cool.
You touch the wall, you get
Those
burnt.
runes pulsate with the heart. Who knows? You
Yeah.
can do a lot of things, because there's those sound qualities, and just the sound section. Being inside or placed on the back of a massive creature and then having to dwell down, you're obviously going to be inside, so there's going to be all of those things. Like, you put your hands over your ears and you could hear all your muscles and bones moving, that creaking and that cronking, that constant rumble, almost like the sound of hot lava, if you've ever done that experiment, where you can hear the blood moving through your veins and all of your joints and everything crinkling and crumbling. Now think of that 100-fold louder inside this maze or dungeon, and maybe it's some of these things are constant and some of
It's
these things
random.
change. Tack in any other living noises or other sounds, like the screaming or something dying or a squish or a crunch.
Something that might be kind of interesting, because you brought up the living. The dungeon is meant to mess with your mind. So if you're a good DM, you're going to take some notes. Randomly, if a party, even if they have some kind of good conversation that you're just like, that stands out to me for no particular reason, copy a little bit of what they said down, like just cliff note it kind of thing. And then as they're traveling through, have them hear something in the distance that is them talking.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah.
And if they're in, players might make that connection, like, didn't I say that? Like, or didn't I say that, and wasn't that your response? Or they could be like, man, there's other people down here.
Yeah.
And then they're basically chasing themselves.
The Doppler effect, essentially.
Yeah.
It's echoing.
It's an echo that just can persist.
Another trippy factor is the echo effect that responds back.
Yeah. That could be really creepy.
Yeah, it could be.
Hello. Who's there?
I just
You're
said
an
that.
idiot.
No, I just said that.
No, you are.
I'm an idiot. You're an idiot.
Yes. The echo that ends up changing to an answer. Yeah.
Or, you call out because you hear something and you hear an answer right behind you.
Yes.
Yep.
Those are all big sound keys to take into consideration when building this guy out.
Which also kind of makes me think, because you can't see in front of you. You can only see within a 5, maybe 10-foot radius of where, if you're going with the runes light up where you are.
Yep.
I've actually had a player throw a staff.
Mm-hmm.
Threw a staff. And they went and found the staff and stuff, but I was playing off of other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Something you could do, throw the staff into the darkness, throw a rock into the darkness, and it comes from the other side.
That's great.
And lands at their feet.
Now you're playing with portals.
You're just messing with the space and time and how all that works. But that's what this dungeon maybe does. It's designed to trap something within it and keep you out.
And it's magical. This isn't just
Yeah.
it was here. This was made for a reason.
By paladins. They're powerful.
Next topic?
Next topic.
Sure.
This is a natural hazard of the dungeon. So there's a couple of things that they offer, but I want to pick one and focus on that, and that's the main thing that's wrong. Not wrong with this dungeon, but that's the main hazard of this dungeon.
Sure.
So it's a D4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4.
Sure. 1.
1 is brown mold.
Okay.
Or animal.
So brown mold
Looks
feeds
like
on
dirt.
warmth.
Awesome.
Drawing heat from anything around it. A patch of brown mold typically covers a 10-foot square, and the temperature within it feels 30 degrees. Within 30 feet of it always feels frigid. So it literally is just drawing heat away from it, which probably inside this creature,
It's gonna be warm.
it's going to be warm, so it might even grow.
Mm-hmm.
So-
Spreads.
When a creature moves within 5 feet of the mold for the first time on a turn, or starts its turn there, I actually used this in my Rosroska prison game, and I had players fall into it because they were trying to fly over and hold each other up.
Ooh.
They have to make a DC 12 Constitution saving throw, or take 22, which is the average,
Oh, wow.
or 40-10.
Ooh.
So a max of 40 damage of cold damage on a failed save, or half as much on a success.
Because now it's eating their body heat.
Yeah, and the way I described it was because one player was just like, I'm just gonna try and jump it, and I'm like, you do realize this is 30 feet right here, right? And he's like, yeah, I'm just gonna bound away. So I'm like, okay, give me that first roll. He jumped, and I said, as soon as your foot hits, give me your con save. He did make it, but that just means you just didn't take as much damage. But I'm like, your foot instantly goes no.
You're cold. Yeah.
You need dex save now, just not fall on your face.
You lose that circulation of blood and that body heat. You
Can't
now
feel
have
it.
just a dead leg.
Yeah, so that can really hurt somebody. You can also up that DC. Don't be afraid to up a DC.
No.
Or lower it for some reason, you know?
You think it's too hard, lower it down.
Yeah.
You think maybe this is something you don't want them to do, or you want to make it a little more difficult because you decide to make it a higher end, and this just doesn't seem like that hard of a thing.
Because I think I upped it to 16, which is a pretty good challenge rating. So, brown mold is immune to fire. Can't burn it away. And any source of fire brought within 5 feet of the patch causes it to instantly expand outward in the direction of the fire.
Your fire spells create fire, control fire, create bonfire.
Would ice work?
Don't know.
We'll
So
see.
it's like
That's a good thought.
It really is.
use ice blast or something.
And this thing, now think about this. If fire or any real heat is brought within 5 feet of it, the mold instantly expands towards it. It moves in 10-foot increments.
Yeah.
So 5 foot, it's going to cover you.
It's gonna get you.
It's going to. And it does do it to the point where the source of the fire is at its center. A patch of brown mold exposed to the effects that deal cold damage is instantly destroyed, no matter what amount of damage you do to it. Good job.
Not quite a DM, but definitely thinks like a player.
And that was a really good, fire doesn't work. How about cold?
Yeah.
It feeds off the heat. Let's freeze it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
So, right there. boom. So it's your players can get it,
Yeah, there's ways around it.
or they can try and fly like mine and drop each other.
I wouldn't think about flying, but the only thing I could think of was ice.
Damn
So.
it.
Oh, dude. Because the walls, the ceiling was 30 feet up in Rosroska. They flew up to the top because it was up along the walls too. So they flew up to the top and tried to go across. Well, he lost his grip on the gnome. Dropped the gnome. I was like, okay, give me a dex save to try and grab onto him. He fails to save and then lands flat on his face into the mold.
Oh boy.
How do you freeze it?
He took a ton of damage. And the gnome really got beat to hell and back. But he survived. He was like, he was like, for some reason, like the only one that didn't go down. And somehow he was just motoring through it. He's cunning. So, and that's really it. That's pretty much as far as some things that you'll find in there, unless you have any things that aren't these. This is all kind of covered in the DMG.
Yeah, these aren't tables this time, so it's not like anything we do like you saw in this video. And the last one, the first part of this video, was more so just picking and choosing what we think would be great inside of this maze dungeon. Now, you don't have to use the same, but you can if you just go back and take the notes down like I'm doing, and just use those and play off of them. If you think of other reasons or things that might be really cool, by all means, try it out, test it out, let us know. Or even just shoot a comment down below about what you think would be different. Do you want doors? What kind of walls? Do you want some sounds? The air quality? All those good things that we just did through. If you have different thoughts, by all means, by all means, just let us know. Other than that, again, I've been Dave. This is Jim. It's Crystal. This has been another session behind the screen. Thanks for watching.
Till next time, guys.